It's Tommy on tap, baby.
59. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Gonna bite a kneecap off.
On the last play of the game.
It's Tommy on tap.
Welcome back to another episode of Tommy on Tap. I'm Bobby. I'm with my brother Kevin and our dad Tom, and we have a show for you. Tommy, what do we have on tap today?
Well, I know it's Tommy on Tap, the Gridiron Show, but it's March. It's the second full week of March, and of course, we've got to talk some March Madness. So even though, NFL free agency is still the king of March, these next few days are really special, and so we're going to talk about NCAA tournament, let you know our professional expert opinions on it, and go from there. So first of all, though, if we're going to talk basketball, something that I know nothing about this year, to be honest, because I just don't watch enough hoops, we've got to have a couple beers. So, Bobby, what are you drinking tonight? What can I buy you?
I am drinking a Dorada Mexican-style lager from Port Orleans Brewing Company down in New Orleans, Louisiana.
You're a traveling man. What do you need, Kev?
Yeah, I'm going to take it back home and go with a Bell's Two Hearted.
Yeah, I'm on some Bell's Two Hearted again also. Rest of my variety pack, so loving it. Hey, NCAA basketball 2022, excitement this year, right? Full crowds, full stadiums, everybody's there. What you got for us, Bobby?
Well, that's a good point. That year that Jalen Suggs hit that buzzer beater for Gonzaga to win the national championship, and there was nobody in the crowd as he jumped up on the scorer's table, had to be the most depressing game winner in the history of sports. So you're absolutely right that this year will be a much more exciting product to watch on TV. Over the last week, it was my spring break, and I didn't go anywhere. So
you didn't go to Cancun or anything? No,
I didn't go to Cancun. I went to.
How'd you get the New Orleans beer, man?
It was mailed up to me from. I have a guy down there in New Orleans. He just sends me beer.
A guy.
So I watched a lot of the conference tournaments, and it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of the reason that college basketball is good is that they aren't professional, and so there's a lot of variables that professionals would not have affecting their game. You can be in the last 5 minutes of a game, and it can just be a 10-point swing out of nowhere. You could be in the last 5 seconds of a game, and some kid will turn the ball over, and a team that you thought was going to win suddenly loses. And that doesn't really happen in professional sports. It doesn't it's a lot less common in football, and so that's one of the nice things about college basketball is when you're watching it, you really don't know what the hell is going to happen. I had a lot of fun sitting around and watching all these games, and you said that you don't have an expert opinion on what these wins are. I think I have a perfect bracket, so
you better win like $1 million in some kind of thing and take us somewhere, man.
I've entered it.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I just don't watch enough college basketball. Then all of a sudden, the brackets come out, and I try to listen to everybody I can on Sirius Radio while I'm driving around, and then I think I know what I'm doing. So it's should be interesting. I actually could probably talk more intelligently about the 1974 NCAA tournament. It's still a lot of fun.
Kevin, what are your thoughts on it? What are your thoughts on college basketball?
Yeah, I think we've talked about it. It's come up a couple times on our podcasts here. I'm not a huge basketball fan. I like the sport. I think it's fun to play. I like watching it live. I took my son to the Michigan State Maryland game here in Maryland. I don't know, a couple months ago or whatever. It was awesome. It was fun to watch. I don't watch the sport. I probably have watched 2 or 3 games this entire season. Maybe caught a little bit of the end of some Sparty games to add on to that. I just don't watch basketball. But I think March Madness is super exciting. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the single elimination. I don't know if it's the volatility that you talked about, Bob. What do you got, Dad?
Well, I'm just going to say, I think what I think is special about it is, tonight they're playing some of those play-in games, and tomorrow they're playing a play-in. But starting Thursday, they're going to play, I believe, if I counted right, 48 games in 4 days.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just crazy that all of a sudden it's just going to come to this head, and we're going to go from 64 teams, I guess 68, right, if you count the play-in games, down to 16 by Sunday night. So it's that's what makes it exciting. Like you said about a single elimination tournament, just one bounce here, one bad pass here, one missed shot here, and you're going home.
It's exciting, right? I don't like the NBA playoffs because one game doesn't matter. Play 7 games and figure out. Like I love the fact that you got to perform night in and night out, and if you don't, you're going home, and that's the end of it. And you get amazing stories like Florida Gulf Coast from a few years ago, where they had that great run, finally got knocked off by Florida or whatever in maybe the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight. I don't remember where they were at, but just cool stories like that turned like something. I can't remember his name, Andy Enfield, something like that. Made him a household name. He got a job at USC out of it. Like it was. And I only know that because I watch March Madness. I don't follow basketball any other time, right? But just exciting stuff that comes out of it. But I don't watch any games, like I said. And so I kind of, if I'm going to do a bracket, I want to win, right? You play to win the game. That's I want to do. So I outsource all of my thought to some smart people. I did some research, maybe 10 years ago now, 8 years ago, something like that, and I found a statistician, Ken Pomeroy at KenPom.com, who has a pretty good track record of having some, and he has kind of a unique way of rating teams where he tries to take tempo into account. So teams that play slow ball and teams that play fast ball are still compared equivalently in his ratings. I've had some success. I'm usually in the top, maybe like 5 at the end of the thing. I've won one tournament, I think, and it's worked out well for me. So that's how I pick. I don't pick. That's all I do is take.
We want to reference this for anybody that's listening. When he said he's come in first or second, this is in the Matau NCAA March Madness tournament, of which
that's the toughest league there is.
It's tough, but every husband, wife, cousin, niece, nephew is in this thing, but Kevin has done well.
Yeah,
usually
I won it last year.
Wins. You won it last year?
I think
All
so.
Right, so yeah, we play on CBS Sports. So it's
way too many people are going to pick Kansas. Way too many people are going to pick Michigan State and Michigan every year.
Yeah. If they went somewhere, that's who they pick. Or if they live somewhere, that's
not
who
if
they
your
pick.
alma mater can't make it in because they're a terrible sports college and all around.
Yep, but that's just how it goes. But it is fun to kind of watch. Like I'm talking to people already that we really don't talk, for maybe a month or two on time, especially now that everybody's grown up. But so it'll be interesting. But you definitely think about this too. You talked about the one game, the one pass, the one shot, the coach that became famous and got a big job from it. But there's always somebody every year that, takes the country by storm. Yep. Was it 3 years ago? It was an old lady nun, right, from Chicago Loyola. I think Sister, whatever her name was. And she's still around. She's the biggest fan of them, and they're in the damn tournament again. So there's always somebody that takes that on.
The Cinderella teams. Yeah, Steph Curry's his draft stock is entirely due to his success during that tournament with Davidson. It's awesome when you I think when I was a kid, George Mason made like an awesome run. That was back when Florida had the national championship winning football team and the national championship winning basketball team, and George Mason was like giving them a run for it. I think that was the year. It's at least around that time. And those are so fun to just watch, like a group of 19, 20-year-olds who are just playing way better basketball than they've ever played in their life, and just when it matters.
Think about this. The thing you see on TV all the time when Jimmy Valvano is running around looking for somebody to hug. I was in school in New Mexico watching with a bunch of guys from that area that were just in love with Phi Slamma Jamma of Houston. And North Carolina State upsets them. That's just Jimmy V was a good coach, but Jimmy V became a household name because of that one tournament when they weren't one of the best teams in the country, on that one play where I think it was Derek Wittenberg came up short. Was it Lorenzo Charles that got the rebound? Might be wrong on those names, but somebody, and sticks it back, and this game is over, and Phi Slamma Jamma with Clyde Drexler and Akeem Olajuwon and others, they're out. And the national champion is the North Carolina State Wolfpack. It's crazy.
Well, for our younger audience here, we better turn this over to some contemporary basketball.
Well, wait a minute. I told you I could talk more about the old stuff because I got some Georgetown stories, some Michael Jordan stories, but I'll hold off. But first, I already need another beer. You guys want to buy another one?
Yep.
All
I think it's time. Let's do it.
Unless we're all drinking the same thing?
No, I have a variety of beers going on today. For my next beer, I've got from Dark Horse Brewing Company, Crooked Tree IPA from Marshall, Michigan. Another hometown beer. You guys sticking with the same thing?
Yeah, today I had like a date night, and I went out to Crooked Crab Brewing Company here. It's in Odenton, Maryland. Had some good beers there, but back here at the house, all I got is the Bell's Two Hearted, so I'll stick with that.
Yep, I'm on number 2 of Bell's of Two Hearted Ale, probably the best IPA there is anyway. So you can fart around with other beers, but hey, if you guys don't mind, if you want to get contemporary, wait, we going to talk about these brackets this year?
We better.
Where do you want to start, Bobby? You start us off. Pick a bracket and let's talk about it.
All right. Well, I think naturally we should just start with the East, and we'll go through. And I think what we'll do is we'll go through our picks. Starting in the East, there's the number 1 seed Baylor.
Before you say anything, there's never been a 16 that's beat a 1, right? Or has there have been one?
I think there's been one now.
One now. Virginia, maybe.
I think you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
the year before, Virginia then won the national championship the next year, right?
Yep. Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Yeah.
so
This is sitting around the bar talk. So that's what I think.
Yeah. I'll kind of go through, maybe talk through my bracket, get us to the Elite Eight. So I've got Baylor winning their first one, playing North Carolina in the round of 32. So I got North Carolina winning against Marquette. Baylor beating UCLA in the Sweet 16, getting to the Elite Eight there against Kentucky.
Woo! Boy, I'm totally different than you there.
So that's that's my Elite Eight, and I haven't picked my winner there yet, but I have, but we'll talk about that in a second. And then so below that, I got St. Mary's winning against whoever gets in that play-in round with Wyoming and Indiana, looks like maybe. And then I have UCLA beating Akron, beating St. Mary's, playing Baylor in the Sweet 16, but losing. At the bottom half of it, I got Texas and Purdue winning their games, and San Francisco and Kentucky winning their games. And then I've got Purdue over Texas, Kentucky over San Francisco, and Kentucky beating Purdue to get to the Sweet 16 against Baylor.
Oh, the Dons are back in the tourney, huh? At number 10.
Yeah.
Bobby, you go next, man. I'm going to hold off because I'm real different on this one.
yeah, I've got Baylor going all the way out of this bracket. I don't necessarily have a ton of surprises in this one. My main upset is Virginia Tech over Texas. Like I said, I spent the last week watching a whole lot of college basketball, and Virginia Tech played some great ACC basketball. They looked really good.
They can shoot it.
And they came up with the win over Duke, yeah?
Yep.
And won the
Yeah,
conference.
they can shoot this darn thing. So
they were
who
a
do
lot
you
of
got
fun to
coming out of
watch.
this one then?
So
Kentucky?
I do have I do have Baylor coming out of it, but I have Purdue over Kentucky. I went through and I looked at different conference champions, and almost all of them. I think Arizona, which is the worst school that's ever been founded, they're the only team that is not dominated by juniors and seniors. All the other teams are pretty much juniors and senior dependent, and then you just have the one guy. And Jaden Ivey on Purdue is a sophomore, and he's from Indianapolis, I think. He's at least from Indiana. And he's special. He's going to be a top 5 draft pick this year. I think that out of this bracket, Purdue has a shot to get into the Final Four, but I'm going to go with Baylor because, they've just cemented themselves as a basketball school in the last few years. All right.
Did Purdue win the Big Ten tournament?
Iowa beat
No,
them.
Iowa did.
Iowa won? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But hey, Baylor's a great story because, and again, when I talk like I know what I'm doing, just from what I heard today, on the radio from Billis and some other guys.
Don't sell yourself short. If you have an opinion, you got to.
Well, no, this opinion is based on others. But Baylor's gotten where they're at with the number 1 seed with horrible injuries this year. They've really battled through injuries. So they're a tough team. They're really well coached by Scott Drew. He's done a great job. And what he's done since he took over with all the crap they had going, I would agree. They are truly a basketball story. I won't talk about this whole bracket, but I do have a bunch of upsets. Just let me tell you that in the round of 8, I've got North Carolina and Murray State in this bracket.
Wow.
And I have Murray State going to the Final Four. For the reason you just talked about. Their maturity, their talent. They've won 30 in a row, I think. Some outlandish number. They're a very, very good basketball team. They are going to beat Kentucky. They are going to beat Virginia Tech, who's going to beat Purdue and Texas. And then they're going to beat North Carolina, because I really believe that North Carolina is going to beat Baylor because of that injury factor. So just my feeling on that. So, okay, so in the East, I've got
Kentucky coming out.
You've got Kentucky?
Over Baylor, yep.
Okay. And Bobby, you've got Baylor coming out over Purdue. And I've got Murray State coming out over North Carolina in the East. All right? All right, Kevin, you started us off. Let's jump up here to the West, which has the number 1 seed in the whole tournament, right?
Yeah, Gonzaga, I believe so. Yep.
Yep. What do you got for us in this one?
Well, I've got Gonzaga coming out of this. I'll say that right away. I got them getting all the way to the Final Four. They will they'll face Memphis, who will beat Boise State.
I want to interject on Memphis real quick, because I don't have a whole lot to say about this bracket. But Memphis, you know who their coaches are? Is Penny Hardaway is their head coach, and Rasheed Wallace is an assistant. Memphis is a really interesting team. I think that they could make a run.
Yeah, and Penny, in this, I think last year and maybe the year before, all the Final Four teams, a lot of their coaches hadn't even not only played NBA basketball, but hadn't even played college basketball. Like they weren't even college basketball players. So I think this time you got Penny Hardaway, who, NBA star. You got Mike Woodson, who's at Indiana. I think there's a 2 or 3 others that are in there.
You got Juwan.
Who's at Juwan Howard? Yeah, I mean, and there's another. I can't remember, but kind of interesting. So,
all right, sorry to interrupt you, Kevin.
You picked Boise?
I picked Memphis over Boise.
Okay.
I have Memphis losing to Gonzaga in the next round. And then I got Connecticut over New Mexico State, Arkansas over Vermont, Connecticut beating Arkansas, and then losing to Gonzaga, if you're tracking that.
Yep.
In the bottom half of the bracket, I got Alabama beating Rutgers and Notre Dame, whoever wins the play-in. Texas Tech beat Montana State. I got Sparty over Davidson and Duke over Cal Fullerton. Texas Tech beats Bama. Duke beats Sparty. Texas Tech beats Duke. Texas Tech versus Gonzaga in the Elite Eight, and Gonzaga wins, like I said.
Yeah, I'm a big Texas Tech fan. That was another team that.
Am I wrong in thinking that Texas Tech lost? Like their head coach went to Texas, right?
Yes,
Beers or something like that. Are they still the same kind of team? Did an assistant take over? Or?
They were tough as
they had that good run a couple years ago, right?
I did watch them play twice this year, both times against Texas, and they beat Texas.
Texas Tech is pretty good at basketball. I'll say they were impressive. I have them over Duke as well.
They're finally living up to Bobby Knight's expectations.
That's right. Hey, and from the last bracket, Indiana was pretty good too.
Indiana's a good team. They're tough. They'll do fine. Well, hey, listen, Bobby, since you said you don't have much to say on this, I really do. Again, I did do a little homer stuff on this. Michigan State, I love Izzo. He's Mr. March. I think they're going to beat Davidson. I think they're going to upset Duke. However, my big upset in this whole thing is I've been a Rutgers fan. I watch maybe more basketball than I thought. I watched Rutgers a couple times. I think Rutgers is a tough team. I think Rutgers is going to beat Indiana. They're then going to beat Alabama. They're then going to beat Texas Tech. And they're going to roll in to play Michigan State, and State will beat them because Izzo will find a way.
You're going to get your perfect points there, because I don't know if anybody else in America has that.
Yeah, I think Rutgers is a sleeper here. They're a tough team. They're the kind of team that can beat some people, and if they beat Notre Dame, which I predict they will win a couple games in this tournament. That one, and then the Texas Tech game, and then State will lose to Gonzaga. Gonzaga's just loaded with NBA players,
Yeah. I didn't let State
Indiana
come out there.
Gonzaga out of that one.
I didn't let State get that far. I think that Krzyzewski's got Izzo's number, especially in this year. And the difference between those two teams is that Duke does, like I was saying, those one-and-done guys that really, truly deserve to be in the league right now, they've got that in Paolo Banchero. And I think that that's kind of the difference maker between Duke and State. I wish State could go further. They really, getting that 7 seed and having to go against the number 2 Duke in the second round, if they can even get past Davidson.
Sparty's one of the few teams that I watch a little bit of every year. Like I said, I don't watch a lot of basketball throughout the season. They're playing sloppy ball, careless. I don't know what the deal is, but making a lot of mistakes throughout the season. So who knows? But like you said, Izzo's Mr. Marked, right? So who knows?
I just don't think Duke's a good defensive team. Duke is not a good defensive team. You watched any of that Virginia Tech game, and Virginia Tech just took shots at will. And I also think, Krzyzewski's, I listened to him in some press conferences. Listen, he's great. He is what he is, but, he's kind of, again, I hear he makes some.
I don't like Krzyzewski at all. You have to respect how good he is, but I don't like
now. It's all about the kids. It's all about the kids. I just don't buy it, man. He's on his round. I just hope Izzo thumps him right out of this damn thing. All right, hey, let's get one more done before we have another beer, and then we get on. So we're going east-west. Let's head south now. Bobby, what do you got for us in the south?
Now, I told you that Arizona is the worst school that's ever been founded, but I am also, like Kevin said, trying to win. So I have Arizona going to the Elite Eight. But I don't have them getting any further than that. I have Arizona over the 16. I have TCU. I watched some TCU basketball, and I liked them a lot too. They were really good. I have them over Seton Hall. I've got Houston over UAB. Illinois, they were the 1 seed in Indiana, upset them out of the Big Ten.
And here's one other thing. I think Illinois has a player that's been injured, and I think he's coming back. Or maybe it's Arizona that is missing one that's coming back. But, yeah, Illinois is a good team. Sorry, go ahead.
I do have Michigan beating Colorado. And then Tennessee winning that game. I have Ohio State, and I have Villanova. I then have, Arizona. I have them running their way through. And I have Houston beating Illinois. So Arizona over Houston. And then Tennessee I have running through the other side of the bracket. Villanova over Ohio State, Tennessee over Michigan, and then Tennessee and Arizona meeting in the Elite Eight, and Tennessee beating the Pussycats that are down in Tucson.
I won't talk on this one much. I'll let Kev go. But I agree with you there. I'm a Tennessee. I think Tennessee's a good basketball team. They're hard to defend. They do a lot of things well. So I've kind of got them coming out of there. I think Michigan's going to lose to Colorado State. I think that's a tough matchup for them. I honestly, listen, I'm not sure Michigan should have been in this tournament. No. I know they have a tough schedule. They play in the Big Ten, but I think that was a gift. Texas A&M had a better – Texas A&M won some games on neutral courts at the end. Should have been in my opinion. And I love Michigan, love Juwan. They just didn't earn it this year. They're just not a very good basketball team. So – it is what it is. So I've got, but now in that one, real quick before I get out, I've got Tennessee coming out of that one going to the Final Four.
Yep. Good call.
So I've got the top half of that bracket, to me, looks exactly like Bobby called it. The bottom half is maybe more similar to Tom. I've got Colorado State over Michigan. I've got Loyola Chicago beating Ohio State.
I got that one too.
And then I've got, Tennessee and Villanova playing in the Sweet 16. Tennessee, Arizona in the Elite Eight, but I got Arizona coming out. I don't care about Arizona State, so I have no loyalties. I'm good with Arizona winning it.
Arizona's pretty darn good. And it was crazy. They were picked, correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby, I heard today they were picked like 5th in the Pac-12, right?
Yeah, they usually are not that low in the seedings. I think that they weren't supposed to be as good as they are this year, but it's Arizona, and Arizona is always a top 10 team, and they don't play for Pac-12 championships. They play for national championships. They just don't win them.
Well, hey, before we get into the Midwest, are we ready for another one, or what we doing? We good?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, Bobby, since we were all drinking the same thing, what are you doing, brother?
So up in Bel Air, Michigan, where there's lots of skiing, lots of good stuff going on. Shorts Brewing Company. This is a really good beer. It's Humalupalicious.
I've seen that on the shelves. I didn't know that was a Michigan beer. I might have to grab
Shorts
it.
is really good.
Okay. So, Midwest, I've got Kansas over whoever the 16 seed is, and I've got San Diego State beating Creighton. I've got Iowa over Richmond and Providence over South Dakota State. I've then got Kansas beating San Diego State. I got Iowa over Providence, Kansas beating Iowa, and getting to the Elite Eight. On the bottom half of the bracket, I got LSU over Iowa State, Wisconsin over Colgate. I've then got LSU over Wisconsin. I've got USC over Miami, Florida, Auburn over Jackson State, Auburn over USC, Auburn over LSU, Auburn over Kansas, getting into the Final Four.
My goodness. Bruce Pearl loves you.
KenPom.com.
Nice. Well, I'll go next on this. A little different here. Kansas is a good team. Again, they're on, seems like all the time, and you watch them play. So I think Kansas wins a couple. But I think the team that's playing really well right now is Iowa. Watched them in the Big Ten tournament, watched them play state this year. Fran McCaffrey, I think, is their coach. And they just look really good on offense. So I really like Iowa. And I think Wisconsin's a good team. I think Wisconsin's got one of the best players in the country. His name might be Johnny Davis, maybe. Could be wrong on the name, but he's a sophomore, I think. He's a great player. I think Miami of Florida actually beats Auburn there in the second round, bud. Auburn just, I don't know, something about their guard play.
And I'll say, so if I went pure KenPom, I would have Auburn losing that game against Kansas. They have a similar adjusted efficiency metric there. It's close. I remember 3 years ago, watching Auburn play. And I don't know, for some reason I was like, I'm going to make that be my upset. They're very close in their ratings there, but I went with Auburn.
Well, I don't even have Auburn getting that far. I have a 3-5 matchup in the Sweet 16.
Okay.
In the Elite Eight. I've got Iowa beating Wisconsin in the Elite Eight. I like the Big Ten team, so I've got Iowa coming out of this one and going to the Final Four against Tennessee.
You're not alone, Tom. You're not alone. I got Iowa in the Final Four as well. Iowa is just playing good basketball. They're all seniors and juniors, and they're experienced. They've had some deep runs in the last few years. A guy who currently plays for the Pistons was a stud, one of the best college basketball Big Ten players of all time, in Luka Garza. He's a bench player for the Pistons right now. And, this is the same team that was following him into the same kind of territory over the last few years. I got Iowa into the Final Four as well.
What kind of ball does Iowa play? Are they spread them out? Or they got a man down in the post? Or
same way they play football.
Okay, that's kind of what I was wondering. Yep, good defense.
They're not Providence, where they're playing, or Princeton. I'm sorry. I mean, they break, they run, but they're very well coached. They have a system of basketball. They shoot the ball well. They move the ball. They share the ball.
They're tough
so
dudes.
They're just really fun to watch. And then, again, this is stuff I heard today is what really people think is separating this Fran McCaffrey team is that they're really defending better than they ever have. So they think they're high-level defenders now, where like any team, your offense comes off your defense anyway, especially in basketball. When the damn ball's going through the net on the other end, it's hard to get any transition and get things going. So I really like Iowa too. So so we're down to our Final Four.
All right.
Real quick, Kevin, go ahead, Bob. What you got, man?
Let's just go through. Let's say, all right, Kevin, just to remind, who's in your Final Four right now?
So for my Final Four, I got Gonzaga versus Kentucky and Arizona versus Auburn.
All right, Tommy?
I've got Gonzaga versus Murray State. I believe they're the Racers. And I got Tennessee versus Iowa.
All right, I'm with you on Tennessee versus Iowa, and then I have Gonzaga and Baylor.
Okay, Kevin, who's winning? Who's coming out of the Gonzaga side?
I got Gonzaga over Kentucky.
Bobby, who you got?
I have Gonzaga beating Baylor.
Yep, I've got Gonzaga over Murray State. I think Murray State's going to be the Cinderella of this thing as a number 7 seed. Shouldn't be Cinderella because they've won 30-some in a row. I love the way they play. I have Gonzaga, though, winning that game as well. What about the other side, Bobby?
Other side, Tennessee and Iowa. I got Iowa winning it. I just talked about all the nice things I have to say about Iowa. I don't need to repeat them.
All right, I've got Arizona over Auburn.
Okay, and I've got Iowa over Tennessee also. So here we are. We're Monday night, April 4th, 9 p.m. Who you got, Kevin?
Gonzaga.
Gonzaga.
There are no surprises here.
It's pretty
Scary.
safe bet.
I think Gonzaga's pretty tough. They play on the perimeter. They play inside, so pretty tough. So there's our expert opinions for whatever it's worth, sitting around the bar having a few. Speaking of that, I know we probably still got a beer going, but I'm gonna pour a shot of Jack and then throw it in my beer and have a little dive bomber here.
All right.
Bobby, can I pour you one? What are you gonna pour for your shot?
I'm drinking my Lumalicious over here. I guess I do have some whiskey coming up from New Orleans. My guy down there, it's some nice. I think it's called Sanzarac House down in New Orleans. Some really good rye whiskey.
All right, I'll take mine back to my little bit of time I spent in Osan, Korea. So I got some soju mixed with some water and with some Mio shot in there. In Korea, you pour it in Gatorade or something, but it tastes good.
Nice. So now we got our last shots. We can talk about anything. NFL free agency, a lot of exciting stuff in the NFL free agent market. Probably I won't talk about the big one. I'll let that one of you talk about Tom Brady coming back out of retirement. But I am going to talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers. I think it's kind of funny. You know, he signed a big contract, and I'm going to round figures, $150 million for 3 years. He restructured it, a lot of guaranteed money, signing bonus. He saved his team about $18 million. I've heard everybody talk about Tom Brady, how he always takes less money, and, it helps because now his team can sign more players. I heard interesting comments by some NFL guys this year that, they basically came out and said, hey, that's not on Aaron Rodgers. And I agree with him. Aaron Rodgers should take every damn cent. The Green Bay Packers are dumb enough to pay him. Now, I think he's a great player, and you got to have that great quarterback. I don't know. Probably dumb enough is not the right word. You got to have that great quarterback. But it's on their general manager now to build this team around him, to restructure other people's deals, to draft well, to get some of those young guys that they can get on those, those first contracts and be a good football team. But I think Aaron Rodgers, I've laughed about him. I think he's a little different. But how do you not sign the damn 2-time NFL MVP? You're going backwards if you don't have that guy. I mean, quarterbacks make up for a lot of warts. So if you got a few warts out there in other spots on your team, he's going to do it. And I've heard people talk about his defense. Well, their defense is great. We could have got some other pieces. Well, your defense is great because everybody's chasing frickin' Aaron Rodgers' offense because he's scoring points. So I think great job for Aaron Rodgers. He deserved it. I think he's, a little eccentric, but he's played it well, and good for him. I wished like hell he was playing somewhere else because, we got to deal with him all the time. But it is what it is. Go Lions.
I'm not quite sure if I have a full thought here. What I'd like to talk about here is what the hell are these teams doing with their quarterback situations, man? Like, for the Colts, to me, getting rid of Carson Wentz and then not...
What the hell are you going to get?
What are you going to do? I saw that Carson Wentz has been turned into, like, 2 first-round draft picks, 2 third rounds, and a 5th. It's something like, oh my God, like you would have thought that you just traded for Tom Brady in 2007 to get this guy. And it's just, what are you going to do at this point? The only options for them now is Jimmy Garoppolo or like maybe picking up Baker Mayfield if Deshaun Watson goes there and Mayfield doesn't get traded to the Texans. Some of the choices that these teams are making are strange.
Yep, I agree with that thought. To me, this is always the driest period of sports. I really like college football. I like watching the Lions. I watch NFL football, but you've heard my thoughts on basketball. So this is always a tough time for me. Obviously, the huge news with Tom Brady coming out of retirement. The market's starting to heat up for Deshaun Watson as well. So some interesting things happening there. I'm curious, and I guess I don't understand the process that well. Like, I don't understand Tom Brady's calculus for why that quickly you're going into retirement, you're coming out. Like, what, I get it. You've been doing that for 20 whatever years. It's all you know. You thought you were done, and you come back out because you just realize you're not ready to quit yet. I don't know the logic. I don't know how that does that put Tampa Bay in a weird situation with. Did they make moves that affected them, or is this is all good for them? They love it.
Only Blaine Gabbert does it piss off.
Sure. Okay. Well,
they lost. They did lose a couple guys from their line. One guy retired, I believe, didn't come out, and then another guy, the Bengals. That's another team. I'm going to come back. The Bengals gave Joe Burrow some guys to work with on that offensive line. Yeah. One of them being coming from Tampa Bay, and that'll hurt Brady. That line was top notch, and now it's only 3/5 of what it was.
Well, Brady was done. What did he say? He retired for 40 days?
Something like that.
Everything in the Bible, right, is 40 days. Okay, he had his moment, coming to Jesus. And
when Bobby sent this out, right, he's won every other Super Bowl for the last 10 years or something.
Crazy? It's crazy. He hung around in Giselle. You know what happens, like around here, if I'm around the house too much, your mom finally says, okay, get the hell out of here. So probably that's what happened. She's like, okay, you can go wherever you're going to go, but you're driving me nuts.
He was waking up at 4 a.m. practicing making 100 sandwiches so he'd be ready for lunch. And she's like, get the hell out of here.
Yep.
Quit talking about TV12.
Yep. Yeah. Giselle, you're not turning at the corner properly.
Point your shoulder where you want the
drive your arm through. Get to the outside so we don't run into each other. Absolutely.
Hey, well, as much as we'd all love to sit here and talk about Tom Brady for the rest of the night, I think it's time to wrap up
the rest of our lives, really.
Really. I mean, he's probably going to be here for another 40 years, so we better get used to it.
Every other Super Bowl. What do you say?
Every other Super Bowl until 2097. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Tommy on Tap. We're going to have something just as good for you next week, and we hope to see you then.
It's Tommy on Tap, baby!
I'm a man! I'm 40!
Gonna buy the kneecap off?
On the last play of the game!
It's Tommy on Tap.